Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Yes, trade the trend. We all know the trend is your friend, but the most important part is always trade the higher time frame trend, or always trade with the higher time frame trend. And what I mean is this. There's so many times, if I bring up, say, this daily chart here or this chart through here, there are so many times that you will see they're looking at the weekly chart here right now. And let me just bring this up. Let's bring the weekly chart here. There are so many times on the daily chart that you will see let's actually squeeze this up through here. So many times on the daily chart, you'll start to see something like this. So you'll see something like where the market's making a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. So we're starting to trade the trend. Makes sense? So the trend is your friend. But here is the thing. Yes, you want to trade the trend, but trade the high, trade the higher time frame trend. Because if this is the daily chart over here, and suddenly you're making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, but over here on the weekly chart, we're just doing this. And this whole point through here is just this little point through here. More times than not, this will fail and will start to roll over just like that on the weekly charts. And so if you can see this point through here on this chart, we ran up, made a what? We ran up, we made a low, a higher low, low, sort of equal low, and we started forming some sort of an upward trend. Higher low, a higher high, higher high, higher high, and so on and so forth. But as you can see, if I bring this chart up through here, if I put an arrow right here, let me just put an arrow right here. And if I go to my weekly chart now, and I open up my weekly chart, what does the weekly chart actually tell us? The weekly chart is saying what? Let's actually delete this off the screen here. The weekly chart is saying what? The weekly chart is saying, well, you know what? We're in a massive, massive, massive downward trend, and we could be getting ready for another bit of a drop here. So this is where it's always important to trade the higher time frame trend, because the higher time frame trend is still making lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. This still could be some form of a lower high. So if you were going to the daily chart and you wanted to trade here, go long here, it'd be very risky. Why? Because the weekly trend is still going down, and there's a very good probability that this is likely to continue down here. And if I go back to my daily charts here, as you can see that it stopped right at that weekly trend line, and then actually started to what? Started to head down, as you can see, and we started to then make lower highs, lower highs. We started to break past this sort of resistance level through here, and then we started to head back down, going with that weekly trend. So yes, trade the trend, but more importantly, trade with the higher time frame trend to give you the best probability of having a successful trade.